There's a big controversy happening right now, has been unfolding over the last couple of days down in South Carolina, the shooting of Walter Scott by Officer Michael Slager. I'm curious at this moment, what concerns you, what questions you'd like to see resolved around that, and about the policy question going forward, which I think for a lot of people is, are we now at a place where all cops everywhere in the country should have to wear cameras all the time?
My first reaction, like I imagine the reaction of everyone who watched the video, was how tragic it was anytime you have a loss of life under those circumstances. Some of the things that we need to get to as a nation and in local jurisdictions, better training for officers, neighborhood policing so that you develop trust between the police and the community, and, as you mentioned, things like body cameras.
Yeah. Good for good cops?
Yeah, it's good for
bad cops.
Exactly. It works both ways.
Yeah, right.
And it needs to be said, of course, that the vast majority of officers are great folks who are doing a tough job. But when you have some like we've seen in the past that are not, then having that evidence there to make things clear is very important and helpful to the process.
So you stepped into your new job as HUD Secretary less than a year ago, back in July. You went on a listening tour around the country, heard some stuff. I want to just ask you about credit. We had a lot of easy, free credit before the financial crisis. Then we had the financial crisis. Now credit is super tight. It's a lot harder to get home loans. Has the pendulum swung too far back in the opposite direction, and what do we do to fix that?
Yeah, a few years ago, I think everyone would agree that it was too easy to get a home loan. And because of that and other reasons, we had a housing crisis. And today, though, the issue is that for many hardworking Americans, folks of middle income, people of modest means as well, even if they have fairly decent credit, it is too hard to get a home loan. When you start asking families about their experience going out to try and get a home loan, you start hearing stories that you won't believe about people who their whole lives have had decent credit, who today cannot get a home loan. So what we need is access to credit that builds on the safeguards that we've put in place, things like Dodd-Frank and the qualified mortgage, but also allows access to credit so that folks can achieve the American dream that has really been a cornerstone of our national experience. And that's what we're trying to get at HUD.
Right. You are up here in New York announcing a big initiative. You're talking with Mayor de Blasio about green energy and retrofitting. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm pleased later today to announce with Mayor de Blasio that they're going out for the first of their energy performance contracts to retrofit their entire public housing stock. It's going to be the largest public housing green energy retrofit in the country. So you're going to have units that use less energy, that are better in terms of the living conditions for folks who live in public housing. As we see with many things, New York is leading the way.
That's, God knows, Mayor de Blasio and all of us New Yorkers would agree with you. I'm going to ask you a little bit about politics. Secretary Clinton, she's about to announce her presidential campaign any day now. First question for Abby is, how many devices do you carry with you?
I have my government phone and my personal phone.
And do you have a private email server set up at your house in Chappaqua? Oh, wait, you don't live in Chappaqua, but yeah, I assume you don't have a private email server of your own.
I'm happy to use my government email.
Right. Do you think she needs to do more to address whatever questions are lingering around that? Is there more that she needs to do than just that press conference?
I believe that she addressed it, and I believe she addressed it well. And certainly as someone who has been in government now, at the local level, at the federal level, I understand that oftentimes, what we do for convenience interacts with the expectations that folks have about public information and so forth. I don't believe that this is going to be a significant issue ultimately in the campaign, and I think that she explained it well.
She's got the challenge. One of the challenges she has if she runs, which we assume she will, and if she becomes the Democratic nominee, a lot of people assume that's kind of a foregone conclusion, is to hold together the Obama coalition. A big part of that has been Hispanic voters. Secretary Clinton obviously has a historically strong connection with the Hispanic community and all of the coalition of the ascendant, but what would you advise her to do to make sure that Obama coalition, young voters, Hispanics, African Americans, etc., all stays together and grows for her in 2016?
She's doing a lot of it right now. I think doing significant outreach to communities in some of these swing states like Nevada, Colorado, perhaps even a state like Arizona, Florida, of course, which is going to be very hotly contested, I imagine. And I think speaking to the issues that matter to all Americans, and especially that coalition, the president has laid out an agenda over the last several years that does speak very well to that, whether it's been more paid leave, or addressing issues related to economic recovery. There is a good blueprint for addressing those issues.
I assume you think the Republican Party is in significant trouble on the issue of immigration as a political matter. Not, I mean, obviously on the substance of the matter, there's a lot of questions, but being on the wrong side of the immigration reform issue, I would assume you think politically is a problematic thing for them as a national party.
Oh, absolutely. But what you're going to see, and you've seen a lot of writing, for instance, about the personalities in the Republican Party, in the Hispanic community, for instance, with Rubio or Sandoval or Ted Cruz. Right. And the challenge for the Republican Party in terms of attracting, whether it's Hispanics or others, is not the personalities. I mean, you have talented individuals that are smart, that are articulate. It's the policies. It's the fact that folks are actually intelligent and savvy enough to understand where folks stand on the issues, and they can discern which one is going to be better for them when they're in office versus another. That is fundamentally the challenge that Republicans have, and it's going to get even worse for them because they're going to go through a 12 or 13 candidate primary race where they're getting pulled all the way to the right like we saw in 2012. How the ultimate nominee comes out of that on an issue like immigration or an issue like paid leave is going to determine how much they can appeal to that ascendant coalition that the president appealed to.
Two quick questions with Walt. These are all one-word answers. Okay, you ready? Who do you think is going to be the Republican nominee?
Probably Bush.
When do you think Texas will finally go blue?
I would say, given the results of the last election, within the next 8 years.
It's still a ways off. Still a little further on the horizon. You got a brother, famously. There are Castro brothers in Cuba, and then there's the Castro brothers from Texas. You guys are a lot less dictatorial, as far as from what I've heard.
I don't know. Have you met my brother? I'm just kidding.
Joaquin is a nice man. Okay, so who's the better politician between the two of you?
You know, I think my brother has always been a little bit more extroverted than I have. Like, he was better at sports. I was a little bit better at school. So I'll give him the.
Okay, I was just about to ask you who is a better athlete, and you've already said that already. He's better at sports. Who's a better cook between the two of you?
You know, probably me, because my grandmother, when I was young, wanted me to be a chef. Right. And so I would, bake things and, watch her make chicken and rice or other things when I was growing up. So probably me.
So you're smarter and a better cook, and he's a better politician and a better athlete. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's something. You've distilled our relationship down so well in about 20 seconds.
That's the whole thing. I think so. For all the girls, they will have a choice, an obvious choice to make.